Hi folks, welcome back to the Hoard. So I told you guys about those unknown condition eBay engines I bought, and I told you they really looked like they were in pretty nice shape. And what's next for the XR80 is it actually has to climb on a bike, and I have to see if it starts. The XR75 I showed you guys had no compression. Well, I have since taken it all apart. And sure enough, piston, she no go up and down. But I mean, it's in nice shape. It's got rings on it. The bore is good. The bore is good, right? No ridges. The rings look real nice. I think you guys could see in there. But I mean, the piston is hooked up. But this is the first time I've ever seen this. I thought it had a broken keyway. But no broken keyway here. But you see how I'm moving this? And the piston, she no go up and down. This is the first time I've ever seen this. It's got a broken crank. In between right there and right there, she's discontinuous. The crank broke. So the next question comes, how the hell did it break the crank? Right, it seems to have plenty of oil and everything else. And I don't know if you guys could see under the intake valve, that's the intake valve. Right, I don't know if you guys could see daylight down there. Yeah, I think you guys could see daylight down there. So it turns out she jumped the time and she smacked the piston, though the piston doesn't seem, you guys see those little scrape marks. That's from when I was putting this piece of plastic pipe down there yesterday. So she jumped time and she broke the crank. I've never seen that before. She also once again bent the intake valve a little bit. So this was a $128 engine, because that's what it cost to have me delivered. It's an XR75, as you guys can read right here. And what I'm going to get from this engine is I'll throw a valve into it. So I got the head, I got the bore. Looks like I got the piston, connecting rod, and all that. Looks like I have everything but the crank and the intake valve. It looks like this engine can be put back together again and be a runner. What I need to do now is kind of go through the Hoard and see what I have floating around for XR75 stuff. I know I got a hoard of XR80 stuff because it's spread all over the place right in front of me. But for the XR75, I have to see what I have. What's weird is this timing chain looked pretty good, and it looked like it was tight. So I'm really, the engine looks like it's in really nice shape. I'm really surprised that, it broke the crank. Maybe the crank broke, and then maybe the crank broke, and that was, I mean, once the crank breaks, the piston ain't moving no more. Well, it's moving if you're in gear and you got momentum, but the flywheel would stop as soon as it loses momentum. So maybe that's when the valve broke. I don't know. Some of you guys might have experience with breaking cranks before, but for a low horsepower engine like an XR75, I'm really surprised the crank broke. Quite honestly, I'm thinking after the crank broke, it probably bent the valve. Because once again, there wasn't a lot of damage up on top of the piston or in the head here or anything. So I'm thinking it might have broke the crank first. How do you break a crank? I've never, you can break a crank on this side, on the case side. If you have this full of water and you go rolling down a hill and you dump the clutch and you can't compress the water, right? I can understand the crank breaking then. I can understand the push rod or the connecting rod getting broken. You know, I can understand all kinds of damage there. But in this case, the crank broke between the flywheel and I'm really surprised that it broke there. And there's no damage to the cover that goes on it, so it's not like it took a hard hit here. And I mean, the bearing field's good, right? So I don't, you guys are gonna have to fill me in on it. Some of you guys actually raced and ran bikes for all they were worth. You know, you got them out there and you made them. You know, you were gonna win the race, or the bike was gonna blow up trying, right? So maybe some of you guys could kind of tell me what you think happened, because once again, this one really surprised me. I opened it up and I'm looking at it and I'm going, boy, the bore looks clean, all that looks clean. It doesn't look like it was overheated. It doesn't look like it was run low on oil. None of that's true. So now I'm kind of fumbling about with it, and I'm turning it and I'm going, boy, it's not moving. Must have thrown a rod. Then I went to pull the cylinder and the jug up, and it's fighting me. I'm like, well, the connecting rod is still connected, otherwise it wouldn't be fighting me coming up. So, you know, I pulled it up and, you know, grabbed the piston. I'm like, the piston isn't loose. How the heck is this? So now I'm turning the flywheel back and forth. I'm like, oh man, I got away. I'm home run. I just have a bad keyway, right? I thought maybe I, you know, broke the keyway to the flywheel, and I'm like, oh man, if I smash only a keyway into this, put this engine together, I'm a winner, right? $3 keyway, right? Winner, chicken dinner. And then as I'm playing with it, I'm like, no, the timing gear is turning. The timing chain sprocket is turning on the crank. So as I'm turning it back and forth and I'm looking, I'm going, wait a minute, the crank isn't turning. It's got to be broken in between those two. How the heck did they do that? So anyway, enough hearing me think out loud. Anybody who's seen this, if you could get back to me, let me know what caused it, because I've never seen this. This was a new one on me. I figured I'd share it with you. Folks, I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Remember to keep your feet down, keep your heads up, and please get out there and enjoy all your days. Bye now, folks.